thank you and welcome. My name is Sharul. I'm the founder of Financially Savvy, or FinSav for short, and I'm also the moderator for today's event. So what is actually FinSav? FinSav is an advocacy project where we aim to improve the financial literacy rate among youth in Malaysia. So for the past few months, we had conducted a series of virtual workshops where we cover topics on money management. And last month, we conducted our first FinSav speaker series on financial protection. So I believe some of us here have also attended the first session. So for today's event, this marks the second installment of our FinSav speaker series. And the title is called Personal Finance and Investing, Perspective from Two Generations. Okay, before we get started, I'm going to go through some housekeeping rules to ensure that you can interact with myself and the panelists. You will have also the opportunity to submit text questions. Okay, if you are here with us at Zoom, you can type in your questions at the chat box. Or if you join us live at Facebook, you can type out your questions in the comment section. After that, we will my team will populate and collect all those questions, and we will address them later in the Q&A section, which is towards the end of the event. Okay, since our Zoom account, for the record, we can only accommodate up to 100 people. So if in case that you have been disconnected and then you cannot join in because of the maximum capacity, which is 100 people, then we would appreciate if you can just join us at live at our Facebook account, so you will not miss any of the discussion points. All right. So now I would like to introduce our panelists. All of the panelists are already here. So the first panelist is Darshini Nadarajan, who is an agency supervisor at Public Mutual Berhad. So Darshini, can you share with the audience a little bit about your role as an agency advisor at Public Mutual Berhad?
Okay, so basically as an agency supervisor at Public Mutual, mainly by right now, I can actually manage a team because we have different levels, right? So now I can even, now I'm managing a team. And at the same time, actually, my main role is to, of course, be a financial advisor. So I help my clients to identify their financial goals and also identify their risk that they are able to take, their financial personalities. And from there, also help to educate and create awareness on mutual funds and any other investment vehicles, and basically overall help them to achieve their goal, their financial goal in the end.
All right. So thanks, Darshini.
Thanks, Sharul.
So for our second panelist, we have Alan Yap, who is the agency. Alan Yap, who is the agency head at Phillip Mutual Berhad. Don't get confused. This is Phillip. Darshini is with Public Mutual. So just to make it clear to the audience, okay? So Alan, can you share with the audience about your role and what actually Phillip Mutual Berhad actually do?
Okay, good evening to everyone. My role, as you know, head of agency. So I handle all the agents in Phillip Mutual. We have about 1,008 agents. So my role is to go around to assist them in terms of the agency development training. And we also have a team to design programs to conduct like a monthly agency meeting and market outlook. And we also going to extend to handholding the agent to do corporate client presentations. Mostly it's more on agency developments. So basically it's about how to agent come in from zero to hero. So like, so it's like, well, but first, just now the first speaker, right? So it's an agency. So that's how we groom them and grow them to the end. And that's all. Mostly we are agency. Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Alan. So now for the third panelist, we have Suraya Zainudin, who is the founder of ringgitohringgit.com. Suraya, can you share with us a little bit about your personal finance website? That is ringgit.com.
Sure. Thanks, Cheryl, for having me here today. I am not from any agency and not from any mutual. And I am, as Cheryl has mentioned, I'm a writer, speaker, personal finance advocate. I write at ringgit.com. It's a personal finance website. I do not educate people on personal finance. All I do is share. I love personal finance and I love recording it. So I write about it, about my own personal finance, and then I share it online. And I've created a whole this really nice personal finance community who are all love to share with each other our financial goals, aims, hardships, and have been doing this for about 6 years now. I'm very happy to be here tonight on this panel and chat with my fellow panelists on our investing approaches. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, Suraya, and thanks to all the panelists for the short and very sweet introduction. So hopefully by having the introduction of each panelist, all the attendees who are here with us tonight can know their background a little bit better. Okay, so the first discussion point that I'm going to ask is, this is a question to all of the panelists. Can you share your approach towards your personal finance? Let's say like how you manage your investment, how you manage your saving, and then when it comes to investment, how and why did you start to invest? And then if let's say maybe you can share to us also what was your investment profile then when you started and compared to it now. Were you more of a very risky investor or very conservative and all that? So yeah. So perhaps we can get Darshini first.
Okay, thanks, Sharul. So basically, my approach to personal finance, firstly, I would say when I first started, so since we're talking about that and now, so when I first started working, I would say, I actually started off with having an expense budget. A lot of people I notice have this mistake where they do not even have an expense budget. When you ask them, like when I ask my clients, where exactly does your money go? They have no idea. Because if they are looking into investing, they need to know how much they can set aside for investment even. So for me, I started all of this when I first started, I did a work and travel in US. And so happened because I was earning money to travel around US. It's like 4 months I worked there and then 1 month traveling. So therefore, I needed to save, because things over there are actually very cheap. When you buy any American brands, of course, it's very cheap, like branded goods. You can go to the premium outlet. So people tend to overspend. Like my own housemates, they tend to overspend and do shopping, and then they don't have enough money to travel, or they didn't have enough money to bring back. So my goal was actually I wanted to travel around for 1 month in US and then bring back some money as well. So I started this expense budget then. And until today, I still have an expense budget. So I mean, a financial planner, like literally I'm an old school person. So I have like a hard copy here, you can see. Oh, you cannot see. Financial planner, I'm very old school. So I use the book and I write everything down there so I can track back until since my first day I started working. So most importantly is know where your money is going. So after that, knowing where my money is going, with my first paycheck, thanks again for inviting me back, Sharul, I should say, because previously, if you attended the first speaker series session on financial protection, I also shared a bit about my history because I was a speaker then. So thanks for inviting me again. So I also mentioned that with my first paycheck, I bought an insurance savings plan because my mom wanted to cultivate in me the habit of saving. So therefore, by getting an insurance savings plan, it cultivated a habit of forced savings. From there, I actually moved on. 3 years down the road, or a few years later, I started a mutual fund. Basically, actually, my mom started it for me as well. I can't remember whether it was when I was in university or in high school, but she handed it over so that I can manage it myself and invest more. And I remember in 2015, 2016, I had like bonus. So I had like a lump sum of cash. And my mom also invested in shares. So she told me, oh, this share is very good. Since you have like lump sum, let's put it there. Well, I have to say until today, that share is still in the red. I'm still not selling it off because I don't want to cut my losses. Hopefully hoping that it would go up. But yeah, at this point of time, I didn't know much. So I actually wanted to dabble into shares. And because I didn't know anything about it, and I just gave my mom like my money, so now it's still stuck there. So I have not actively gone back into shares yet. Basically now my investment portfolio is mainly in investments that I understand and know. So like mutual funds, I still have my savings plan, which I am still continuing. And also recently started more on stash away and things like that. So yeah, that's basically my portfolio, and it's mainly in things that I've learned more about and understand well to invest so that I can, of course, eventually make a profit and work towards financial freedom.
All right. So thank you for sharing your experience again. Okay.
Thanks, Sharul.
Oh, no problem. So perhaps we can get Suraya to share her approach towards managing your personal finance.
Sure. I'm gonna answer this a little bit differently. So of course, big fan of expense tracking, trying to implement good financial habits in my life, all of those. But I think my approach is a little bit different, in which I combine a little bit of activism into my personal finance. I've always kind of noticed when I first started that personal finance tends to be like a very top-down approach. It's like people giving you advice and then kind of like doing like this vanishing thing, like, why didn't you save enough money? Why do you spend so much? Why didn't you like like have enough willpower to spend on this? And why didn't you? Right? All of this. So I started leaning towards the more empathetic side of personal finance, and also B, the factoring in the environmental factors that resulted in bad financial behavior. So I realized that there's a lot of reasons why people do not so good financial things, including policies and things like that. But eventually I settle on like an approach that worked for me, and I know that different approaches work for everyone, but that's pretty much like a big factor inside how I manage my money, like this very very high level of skepticism towards the advice that comes from existing people, because I know that people have agenda, people have bias, they want to sell stuff to you, and you just have to like cut through all of that and learn for yourself about what works for you. The second part of your question is about what type of investor profile I am. I have to admit that I am a very, very high risk investor. I'm a very big fan of crypto. I have a bunch of different investments, but right now I'm predominantly in crypto. So I'm happy to take any and all questions about cryptocurrencies from there. But aside from that, you can also ask me questions about, I have ESB, I have PRS, I have gold. I don't have I don't have unit trust. I don't believe in unit trust. And also I have P2P, I have a P2P lending, I have robo-advisors. You can ask me questions like that. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Suraya, for giving a different perspective on how one can approach their personal finance. And then now maybe we can have Alan to share his view on the questions.
Okay. I think they are both speakers are very lucky. I'm the oldest in the three panel. And I went through the three economy cycle. The worst is in 1998. So they are lucky. Today they know what is financial planner. During my time, the only financial planner is my parent. Don't spend money, and then we don't know what they are meaning. So in 1993, everybody is a speculator. 1993 to before the Asian financial crisis, everybody is a speculator. We don't talk about fundamental, we don't talk about financial planning. Everyone is just going to stock market, and you make a fortune overnight. And we made a lot of money. There is a super big time for Malaysia. I think it's the golden era. But when come 1998, everything gone. Zero, all your stock turned to zero, because it's the worst from 1,000 to about 900 to 1,000 point to 276 point. So you lost everything, and I lost everything. And my dad is a speculator. Then I tried to find the answer. So there's no financial plan at that time. It's no planner at all. So I went to study in degree in stock market analysis, try to understand why it happened. After that, I find out, yeah, there is some value investing like Warren Buffett, and then can make money in stock market. And I look at, and that time I'm still working for people. And now every day I also don't have money. Then I try to figure out, everyone know how to make money, but why not everyone is rich? Something has some answer. So then I did further. Then I went to find out somebody is like through education is MBA in personal financial planning in Australia. Then I go into personal financial planning. Then I start to realize everybody know how to make money. Not everyone know how to manage their money. So it's about money management. So we need to have investment knowledge, and at the same time we must have money management knowledge. So you ask me then and now, how is my investment profile? I from speculator now into more disciplined portfolio investment style. I also invest in stock. I like, if I have a lump sum, for example, now I have 100,000 to invest, I will allocate in more portfolio allocation, like I will have 30% in stock market, 70% I will in unit trust, and even in unit trust, I also further have like some asset class, like you have equity, property, and bond. So if you ask me, from a speculator to more of balanced portfolio investment. That's all. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. So we have Darshini, who approached, having like an expense tracker, and then Suraya comes in with more like, more sort of like activism, sort of a way in approaching her personal finance. And then we have Alan, who before this, who speculates the markets, but now become, prioritize like the knowledge and why such stocks go up and why such stock go down. Basically all the knowledge lah. Okay. So for the next questions, is an advice that we as young people usually get. Okay, because we are young, so this is the advice that we usually get. Young people should invest in high-risk investment products. Do you think this advice is still relevant in today's age? So maybe we can get Suraya opinions first on this question.
You mentioned my name, right? I wasn't sure.
Yes.
Okay. This is not about like should you or shouldn't you. I think that many young people will kind of experiment around, and you will eventually kind of try out the more riskier part of it. It's just more like more likely than not you probably will. I'm in my early 30s now, and 10 years ago, I was at the high risk investment during that time. It was like a gold bubble. So you will probably get caught up in some sort of like frenzy. Like this time around, it's kind of crypto. Like during 10 years ago, it was kind of gold. So there's always going to be something in the market that kind of like excites you, and your friends are going to be talking about it, and you're like, okay, maybe I should try that too. And it's not a bad thing because you're in a circle where your friends are actually talking about investing. So it's not a bad thing. It's better than if your friends are not talking about investing, you know what I mean? But the balance comes with, are you investing with, are you doing all these things and taking this unnecessary risk with money that you need to live, to survive, or are you using your play money? So that's why I say, so if you want to join in with your play money, go on ahead, because it becomes, even if you lose, and at least you learn something, it becomes a tuition fee. But if you make money, then obviously that's a good thing. You get to learn, but try to, if you have, let's say like 1,000 ringgit, maybe like allocate 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit, but like no more than that. And especially if you still have dependents. Some of you, I'm aware that you're lucky if you don't have dependents, but some people, even at a very young age, already have dependents. You have younger siblings to think about, or your family is still caring for like younger siblings even. So you have to take all this into account. Some of you have to take lower risk than others, but I think that it is not a bad idea to allocate a tiny bit of your play money into experimenting around. I think like trying out different things is good generally. Obviously there are exceptions to the rule, but generally experimenting and trying out a lot of things is a good thing.
All right. So yes, I think I think I agree with you because I'm still in my mid-20s. So when crypto first came few years, I get so excited and then invested some money. But then recently the market crashed. So lesson learned. Okay. So maybe next we can get Darshini's opinion on whether the advice that we as young people get, do you think this is still relevant or not?
Okay, I would like to add on to what Suraya said. So, okay, from basically the general understanding why they say young people should invest in like high risk investment products is because, the general term, they say high risk, high returns, but also high risk will also can lead to high probability of losses. So like what Suraya mentioned about play money, in terms of investment, like my own personal experience, as I mentioned, I put it into stock that my mom recommended and I had no idea what it was about. So until today, I can leave it there kind of thing, because for me, first thing, I believe when you use money for investing, as what Suraya mentioned, it should not be money that you need. It should be money that you are prepared to lose. In a way, I would say it like that. Meaning that, because investment, there are risks, right? So with risk, basically, if worst case scenario, you lose the money, if you use money that is your emergency fund, and for example, tomorrow you lose your job, then you have no emergency fund already. And then who are you going to rely on if such things were to happen? So yeah, that's to add on to Suraya's point as to using play money. I will also say why they say younger people are able to invest in high risk, because of the investment time frame that they have. For example, if a 25-year-old were to invest, I know for retirement, and this person retires at age 55, so this person has 30 years to invest. So if in the first 10 years, you are learning and you invest in different kinds of investment vehicles and you lose your funds, you still have 20 years to recuperate. Compared to someone who's at 50, who's about to retire at 55, if he or she puts all his money in investments that they're not familiar with and lose all the money, that means they're losing their retirement fund, for example, right? And then they only have 5 years left to recuperate. 25 years that they have been working on, all gone. So that's why for this, they say why younger people should invest in high risk, because they have this investment time frame where they can recuperate losses. So at the end of the day, I would just want to add also, if you do plan to invest in like a high risk investment, firstly, the most important thing is identify your financial goals. Why are you investing? By knowing why are you investing, then also it will help lead to the question as what should you invest in, which investment vehicle. And also, besides that, you should also identify your investor profile, like what Suraya mentioned. Know your risk appetite. Because some people can tolerate high risk, some people cannot. Maybe like Suraya can tolerate high risk and make high returns, but if she recommend to someone else, and then what if the person cannot tolerate and feel depressed after that? Of course, market goes up and down. It will never ever always be up, right? So you must identify what's your risk appetite and your risk profile, basically. And lastly, learn more about the investment that you're going to invest. For example, like if you were to do something that like for example, driving even, right? If you practice driving for 10 years, 15 years, it would minimize the risk. You already know what to do if any emergency were to happen. Compared to doing something that you don't know, this will increase the risk. For someone who has never driven a car before, suddenly step into the car, They wouldn't know if an emergency suddenly happened in front of them. They had to press the brake, but they get scared and they accidentally press the accelerator. It has happened to a friend of mine before. So similar to investment, if you do something that you know, of course, it will reduce the risk. But if you invest in something that you don't know, it will increase the risk. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
All right. So thanks, Darshini, for your input. And then now maybe we can get Mr. Allen. Do you think the advice or that advice is still relevant?
I think the two speakers speak well. Of course, you must remember always to invest out of your emergency fund. As this type of COVID-19, everybody go through the hardship because of don't have enough emergency fund. Invest what the extra you have, you will be safe. Rule number one. I think when you are young, you take higher risk. I think it still hold water. I regret myself when I was young time. I didn't really getting more gun ho a bit. You see, I think when say you are 20 to 55, our investments should follow our age, the investment instrument. Example, like during our time, we have a small second board, main board. So if during that time, if you know how to buy a good second board stock, or the semiconductor today, it was the small cap. Today it grow to big cap already. So this is the time is proven. And I can example show you like 20 years ago, example, 20 years ago, one of the listed company, number focus company is only 20 cents per share. One lot is only about 2,000 ringgit. If you hold it one lot 2,000, today it worth 500,000. You say this is it. If you have this asset, the asset is your time. I encourage all young people to, even young, you buy asset. As long as asset, you will make it. Because sometimes it's too long, you cannot see. But it will come to the time that you see the fruits at the end of the journey. So I believe, because if I just say simply, I just get like 15 years ago, if you are not careful, timing, you just buy this IT company, a very small company called MyEG. It was about 30 cents. Today, how many times really? So I believe, when you are young, take more risks, because the company, you grow together with the company. When the company is like today, you got the S market. In future, it will be a blue chip. There are so many of them. So I encourage them to take risks. And of course, if you can't take so much risk, then you do buy a small cap unit trust. Based on my observation for the past 25 years, a small cap fund is always outperform the blue chip fund for 20 years by 100 to 150%. The small cap is mean higher risk, small company. Last time a small cap been like below half 500 million. Now a small cap is the capital market is about less than 1 billion. So even 1 billion now is considered a small cap now, you know that. So I encourage them to take risk. You have the asset to take risk. God give you only one time. When 20 years, one time only, take risk. By all means. But however, always before you really invest for risk or long term, invest in yourself. Before the passport for everyone to take high risk investment, make sure you get your medical card. Make sure you have your own medical card, because this is for save you. Because I see a lot when people invest a long time, but halfway something happened to them, they'll liquidate all the investment. So you have to come everything in together. It's a combination. So take risk, I think it's still hold water. Thank you.
So thanks, Alan. So basically, the output that we get from the discussion was that it is still somehow still relevant, because you only young, I would say, in your 20s once in your whole life. So perhaps it would be better to take more risk if the money that you're going to invest is the money that you are willing to lose. Don't invest on your entire emergency saving into high risk investment, because it's not really the preferred way to go, okay, in investment. All right, so the next question is for Darshini. So Bank Negara stated that 75% of Malaysians find it a challenge to even raise 1,000 ringgit of immediate cash money for emergencies. What could be the cause of this? And then how could they create and maintain an emergency fund if their salary is low?
Okay. How to create a emergency fund, immediate emergency fund, right? If their salary is low. So yeah, that's a very good question. Of course, looking at today's job market, right? Back then, when I was looking for a job, which was 10 years ago, the starting salary was around 2,000 plus. Even today, 10 years later, regardless of the inflation, the rising cost of living, because of the pandemic, especially, even the starting pay is still 2,000. So imagine, now people earning the same amount but with higher cost of living, how are they going to save? So basically, this is an issue that also need to bring up, because of this. Basically, like, if you have two different examples. So for one, I would say, firstly, live within your means. All right. You have your friends, or I would say peer pressure, friends who will affect your spending. Firstly, you need to see, for example, like you're living in KL, right? If you're non-KL native, right, you're from a different state, and you come to KL and you're working here, you have to pay for rental, you have to pay for utilities, everything basically you have to pay on your own. Whatever you earn, you have to pay. Compared to someone who lives in KL, who probably lives with their parents, they don't have to pay for food, necessities, most of the time I would say they will go home, dinner, have dinner with family, they don't have to pay for rent. Some even, I know that their parents are paying for their car and their petrol. So it's a different expenses that they have. So if you hang out with people who have this extra income to buy Starbucks every day, example, the person who lives in KL, right, with their parents, they have this extra income compared to you who have to pay for all the other commitments that you have. They can afford to buy Starbucks and things like that every day, which is like 15 ringgit now a drink. For you, 15 ringgit could be a meal, or some even 2 meals in a day. So you need to learn to live within your means, and basically try, if you can, try to avoid such peer pressure, and maybe try and look for like-minded individuals, people who are more into savings, or can talk to you more about, savings or investments, for example. So these people also will encourage you to learn more on how to grow your wealth, rather than just spending it. So to start off, I would just say how you can create an emergency fund, even if your salary is low. For basic, to start off, I would say try the JARS money management system. If you've not heard of it, I would advise you to Google it. That is something good that you can start off with. It's by T. Harv Eker, the author of Secret of the Millionaire Mind. So in these 6 jars of money management system, you basically divide your income into 6 different jars. Just say imaginary jars, right? 6 different jars. So the first jar is where you put your necessities, where you spend on necessities, spend on necessities, which is 55% of your income should go to necessities. This includes like food, rent, bills, even insurance. Like what Mr. Allen said, insurance is so very important. It's a necessity. And then next, 10% of your income should go to savings for spending. For this savings for spending is more towards emergency funds. if you need to put money aside for big purchases like emergency purchases or miscellaneous, your car breakdown or what, these are also emergency funds, for example. So 10% of this should go to savings for spending, emergency funds. Another 10% should go for play. Once in a while, you want to get that Starbucks to treat yourself, by all means. You want to take the vacation, you have to save up for it. So put 10% aside for saving for spoiling yourself. The next 10% you should put into education. And this is not child education. This is your personal education, to buy books or to attend courses. If you want to learn more about investment, maybe you find an investment course that interests you, you can save up for that, put 10% aside of the income for courses or even books. I'm a person who loves self-help books. I read a lot of self-help books. So yeah, even things like that, it can be anything to improve yourself. So if you read a lot of these self-help books, they also say that by learning new things, improving yourself, helping others, and things like that, all these will lead to self-fulfillment. So if you want to lead to self-fulfillment and happiness, things like this you should also look into. So the next 10% should go into your financial freedom account. So for this financial freedom account is purely more towards investments. So you should save 10% of your income to put for investments. And lastly, 5% into charitable donations. Again, for me, because I also believe in this, because charitable donations also can, by helping others, would help you to lead a happier life. So then, of course, all of this, again, looking at this is just a guideline. Personally, it'll be very hard, to follow exactly. So this is just a guideline. You need to identify what works for you. Of course, just say if you're earning maybe even 1,500 or 2,000 and you don't have enough, when you see your necessity is maybe 65% of your income, right? Instead of 55, then you have to sacrifice 10% from somewhere. Maybe you either, because you're new at a job, so you are learning on the job, therefore, maybe you say, okay, fine, I won't spend 10% for my books and courses to develop myself because I'm getting on-the-job training right now. So this, I can put more to my necessities. Later, when you earn more, you can, fix up, adjust the numbers and readjust and see what works for you. So this is what I would advise if you want to create an emergency fund. I think this is a good way to start. Inculcate force habits, I would say habits like this, to put money aside for different categories so that you can basically have a guide, and this will help you create the habit towards either financial freedom or whatever your financial goals are.
All right. Okay, so thanks for your method. If I could recall, it's about jar money management. Is that correct? Okay. Correct. Oh, apparently there's one of the attendees is asking again the book that you mentioned. So perhaps perhaps you can type it out in the chat box while we.
Okay. This author wrote many books. This is just one of the books, but even if you just Google the JARS money management system, you can find a lot of articles on it. It's really good, but I'll type it out.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So so for the next question is directed to Ellen. So Ellen, in your opinion, what would the ideal investment portfolio of a young person in their 20s should look like?
Cryptocurrency.
You mean 100% go to crypto, is it?
When I say take risk, right? I think after you get consult with the first speaker, put all your money in your jar and then take the 10% out. That is the money for invest, right? Well, of course, I think nowadays, 20 years old is a different 20 years old from last time. I can't say last time because I came across to meeting a lot of investor, high net worth customer. I came across, I have one investors recently in Seremban, 23 years old. 23 years old, self-made millionaire. So not 20 years old or poor now. Because nowadays doing business is so easy. You can do online business. he's doing this exotic animal, online animal, exotic animal. He only do export spider and snake only, and he's now a millionaire, right? 23 years old, very small size. So I say it's like 23 years old. At the end of the day, say what kind of ideal portfolio is all depend on what size of extra money he have. And for this young man, I advise him to go into stock market. That's what I said. Stock market, they are very good stock share. There is long-term hold. I like a lot of disruptive stock in the market. Disruptive is mean something like Grab, right? And crowd system. I mean, this was a disruptive business, and I also allocate some for him for the in long term. It's like about ESG investment. Have you heard about ESG, environment, social, and governance? These are all the long term, because even EPF by 2030, all the fund only can invest in listed company we comply with ESG. So it's a long term investment. And yeah, I always ask them, if you allow even you're 20, you must allocate some in the stock market, because even your unit trust, you're also buying stock. So if you allow, you allocate a bit, about 30% in stock, even in the edge market. Recently got one listed company is quite well, and one of the company doing the solar vest is doing well. I mean, these are the renewable energy. This is the long term. In future, we all encounter this type of investment team, and what we need to enhance all this renewable energy. So I allocate about 30% in stock market. Of course, we had to stabilize our portfolio, even you are young or old. So another 70% is still in the unit trust, because it's a lump sum, you know. But he did not 100% give me the 1 million. He's about 150,000. So if 150,000 is a big money to young jet like him, so even the 70% in unit trust, 30% I will also allocate in the more on the premium blue chip fund, and the 70% is still in small cap and disruptive fund. So, and of course, I have some property fund for him. So I look at it, even though you are 20 years old, if you are allowed, if you have capital, it's allowed you to invest wisely. If you really can, you can buy property also. Anyway, you can add in property in your asset, because you have 1 million, right? So I just said, if you have that amount, you can do so many things. It's still, you are young nowadays, nothing young and already. Some young people are richer than he's so rich that his father worked for him, you know, to deliver the snack to customer. So no more young people as full is rich. So yes, we still need to remember to allocate different asset class. Even if you understand about crypto, yeah, you can allocate some into it, but it's not 100% because you know the volatility, right? So yeah, in one school, that if you have this capital to invest, yes, by all means do asset class allocations and portfolio management. If for a 20 years old is only a startle and it's only like 10% in the jar, is so minimal that it's only allowed to have few hundred dollars. I think now it's very lucky for young people also, because during my time, one lot of share is 1,000 share, you know. Now because they want to encourage more youngsters to invest direct in the stock market, now one lot is only 100 share. So there are many good companies that are less than 20-30 cents. It's only one lot, it's only 200-300. If you all the way, actually you can accumulate. If you know, but you need to understand the company, right? That's something that you know. You can buy some company to keep for long term. At the same time, if you think that you don't understand about typically how to invest direct in the stock market, by all means, just buy unit trust and do a regular saving. In my 30 years in unit trust, my first company is with a P company. So P company, it's not the red color, it's a blue color P company. My customer together with me, and she regular saving regular saving for 200, 300 every month. When 25 years time, she totally invests about 40,000 regularly, but 40,000 throughout the 25 years. When recently he did the redemption, it's about close to 200,000, you know. So by all means, portfolio or non-portfolio, it's not you buy asset. If you can't, if you don't have enough money to do a portfolio, buy a single funds and do a regular saving, you still can make it. Then along the way, if you have a promotion, have extra your income growing together with you, then you add on to it. Then you slowly to learn more to diversify into other asset class. So yeah, I say to me, if you have a big chunk of money, still do asset allocation. It's not just do regular saving. That's all.
Okay. So I think in case like some of the audience do not understand the concept of regular saving plan. So the concept is you put in let's say a small amount of money, let's say 100 or 200, sometimes for 500 monthly into a particular fund. So just to get it clear out what does a regular saving plan mean, so that all of our audience understand what it is. Okay. Okay, so now since just now Suraya talked about cryptocurrency and all that, so the next question is directed to Suraya. And with the evolution of technology, we now have a peer-to-peer lending platform, and people can now invest in cryptocurrency, and also now they can even invest via a robo-advisor, no longer need human advisor per se. So how do you think that the investor could really take advantage of this new platform and products?
There are obviously, like what Mr. Allen is absolutely right in pointing out that the investment industry have completely changed in the last few decades. So it started out from being like only the fairly rich and wealthy who are able to buy all of these investments and grow their money into like this whole era of democratization of finances, where even now there are companies who are like, oh, from 1 ringgit you can start already, from 1 ringgit, from 10 ringgit, and you can now, you know, start open all of your accounts online without going to the office. The reason why they use those as a selling point is because last time it never used to be that way. Obviously, I think that fintech, financial technology, is great. I think that it helps a lot of people to be part of the haves rather than the haves not. However, at the same time, I also want to circle back to what Darshini pointed out about the fact that right now, for many of you, perhaps it's not about like which investment to do. The answer is all of them, if you can. Test them out, see whichever that you're curious at. There's no one right or wrong. Like do whatever you want, do whichever you're curious in, and then slowly learn along the way. Do all of them if you want to. As long as you don't go like all in or YOLO or whatever. But again, I want to point out to what Darshini said, which is most young people now do not earn enough money. And if you don't earn enough, how are you gonna save that money to invest, especially in high risk investments? I really feel bad for you guys, honestly. It's 10 years ago, I was earning 3,000 ringgit. At my first job out of SPM, I was doing telemarketing, but yada, selling insurance product actually. And it was 3,000 ringgit, including, you know, bonuses, some months, even like 3,500, 4,000 ringgit. I managed, even before I went to college, I managed to save up my emergency funds before college, you know. How many of you can say the same thing right now? So it's a completely different situation. Obviously, you know, all the privilege stuff comes back in. I am privileged because I can speak English. They were hiding English speakers. I'm privileged because I was still living at home, so I didn't have to pay rent. Food was provided. So all of this aside, it does the very fact that if you are someone who are earning living wage right now, you are considered lucky, and living wage for a single person without dependents is, according to EPF, around 2,500 ringgit per month. So if you are earning 2,500 ringgit per month, you are like, and if you're renting in KL or some other urban city in Malaysia, you're probably like gasping right now, thinking where to find money to save, where to find money to invest. So there are obviously many different ways to earn money. Mr. Allen have pointed out, that person who earn money by raising snakes. If that's your thing, go ahead. But if you are someone who are at this level of earning 2.5, even 3K, I would say that it's in your best interest to earn more as soon as possible. And by earning more, there's many ways to earn more, obviously, but you can do one of both things, which is to fight for higher salary, to earn higher salary, or you can also earn side income. Whichever one works depending on your situation. If you follow your parents would probably be, they come from a different generation where they're like, being loyal pays, but as of right now, they actually have done studies where people who job hop would actually get higher pay. So again, whatever works for your situation, but I would say that don't be particularly loyal if your company is not rewarding you with higher pay. The most ideal situation for me, and this is an opinion, this is not advice, it's just an opinion. The most ideal situation that a person can have is to get a high-paying remote job. Simply because you are location independent, so you can live anywhere, even places which have like really low rent. If you have to, all you need is a laptop, so you're not like tied to any particular place. And because if you are remote working, you're not just bound to Malaysian employers, you can apply to any jobs out there. And because you're remote based, you don't have commuting time, which saves you a lot of time for other ways to learn and to improve your skills, self-development, learn investing, do all this work out, because working out gives you good jujus and you can like do better work, all of those things. So that is, I think, like the most ideal situation. If majority of people are not in that situation, which is very, very sad. However, if you happen to be one of the lucky ones who are able to get in the situation where like your finances are working out for you, you're earning okay, stable, you can have money to invest, I think that because the wealth inequality right now in Malaysia is growing and will continue to grow, it is also somewhat our moral obligation to also kind of like play the part to help our peers to at least get them improve their livelihood a little bit through like supporting them with jobs, or like helping them to find better opportunities, or even perhaps like supporting their businesses. There is this kind of culture of wealth hoarding among the haves, which is something that you should probably be aware of and actively fight against, because at the end of the day, if there are more people who studies have found that most Malaysians right now don't have enough money for retirement, and when the time comes, like 10, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to see your peers depending a lot on the government, and they're going to, the government is going to spend a lot of money on relief, on assistance. That's going to come out of your tax money. I mean, what are they going to do? Just leave people homeless? You can't do that. So it is your best interest to help your peers, at least from now on, starting from now on, if you ever get to that chance. But I say all this, all these things, the first person that you should help is definitely yourself. A good, I think, salary to aim for, and like don't freak out or anything, but a good salary or income to aim for is like 5,000. which will help you to save more than enough. You can comfortably save, can comfortably invest, can comfortably, obviously, don't not save money if you don't earn as much, but aim to get to that amount. I think a lot of people are stuck in like, okay, I'm at like 2K now, I'm just gonna stay at 2K at this point. Try and aim like higher and higher. Like 5 is a good like amount to start with. More is better. And always like help your peers to also get into better financial position. So that went off from like investment to like where to actually get the money to invest. That would be the answer to the question.
Sorry, can I add on to what Suraya mentioned as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, so I think Suraya came up with a very good point. If you do target like 5,000 a month, to be very frank, if you're a fresh grad and you're looking for a company to hire you with 5,000 a month, most likely it will not happen. They are not going to give you that amount. So you need to think out of the box, or basically other ways to earn your income. And there are many part-time jobs out there. For example, like you can be a unit trust consultant as well, like me. You can do it part-time to earn an additional income. At the same time, by doing such thing, you learn more about investments and the market and things like that. There are also other part-time jobs, like I saw some online, through using social media or what. So if that is your target, like to earn at least 5,000, don't expect it from one job. Especially if you're a fresh grad, try to look for other ways to earn an income. Even for me, I would say, I saw someone become insurance agent. Yes, I'm also a insurance advisor as well. So yeah, there's a lot of different jobs out there for you. Even I myself actually did a lot of part-time jobs. So while I was a student, even just so that I can earn an income, which now I can actually invest, similar to what Suraya mentioned about saving before she went to university. Even for me, by the time I finished university, I already had 10,000 ringgit in my account. So how many people out there can actually say that they have 10,000 after they graduate from university? So all of this plays a factor into it. Even if you try to dream big, you must make sure that your goals are smart, specific, measurable, achievable, timely, and what? One more. Anyone can help me out? The SMART goals. Yeah. Did I forget
SMART goals?
Okay, right. So just have a look at the SMART goals and make sure that you can specific, achievable, and then timely and all that. That it's so that you can achieve the goal with the right mindset, not expecting the stars and all without doing anything about it. Okay.
All right. So thank you very much, Darshini and Suraya, for the input. So actually, the next question would be asking about if we have two options between cryptocurrencies and stocks, which one would you recommend for young adults to invest? But I believe these questions have been answered in the previous discussion. And I think Ellen recommended to go for stocks, and then Darshini also suggested to go to stocks, and then Suraya suggested to for young people to go to cryptocurrencies and all that. Okay, and then explore all of this.
Sorry,
in fact. You suggested to go into insurance. Okay,
no, I did not suggest to go into insurance. No, I wanted to clarify on this. For me, similar to what our other two panelists mentioned, when it comes to investments, of course, all investment, let's put it henceforth lah. Okay, all investment vehicles have their pros and cons. Any product also even out there, there's their pros and cons. The most important thing is you need to know the pros and cons of every single investment. Because there's, honestly speaking, there's too many investment vehicles out there. There's there's shares, cryptocurrency, private equity, mutual funds, REITs, property, and so on and so forth. There is a lot. So if you're interested in any of these, I would say firstly, learn more about the investment vehicle. And to learn more, also you need to have the interest and the purpose to learn. You know, you need to have your financial goals. If you don't have your interest, then in learning more, then you definitely won't learn. You know, it's like giving you a free gym pass. You know, I give you a free gym pass, you hate going to the gym, you will never use it, even if I give you a free gym pass for a year. So you must have the interest to learn more about investment. If you don't have that interest, then that's why it's very good to seek help from financial advisors or financial professionals. For example, like if you were to seek help from any of the advisors out there, or even from me, because I'm also an advisor, right? A consultant. So if you seek any consultant, they would give you the advice. You always, don't worry, initial advice is always free, initial consultation. So a lot of us are willing to help you, even if there's charges. Some of us, including myself, I'm happy to help without any charges. So yeah, I just want to help to create the awareness. I'm sure also Suraya already offered earlier, you know, to say contact her, you know, if you want any advice on investments and things like that. So basically, before following any friends or family advice, learn from my mistake, you know, basically you should seek for help or advice, or find the right information as well. And I also want to reiterate what Mr. Allen also mentioned. Basically, with all these different types of investments that is out there, even if you, and Suraya also mentioned, if you're going to invest in everything, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversification is the key, because of course, if you're learning, especially, and you want to invest in different things, you should diversify. Don't just put everything into one. If suddenly that one collapses, that's it, you lose all your eggs. So portfolio allocation also, as what Mr. Allen mentioned, is very good. You need to learn more about portfolio and what allocation, how to invest, how many percent in equity or in a fixed income money market, or for example, bonds and so on. So this is another thing you should look into. And regular savings, which are also known as DDI. So you can start small, you know, even with regular savings, 100 ringgit a month, then increase it. As long as you have that habit to invest, you know, put it straight into an investment vehicle, you know, set a DDI where it direct debit from your bank account. Then that's how you can actually grow your wealth, no matter which investment vehicle you choose. Make sure that you are well informed of your decision. At the end of the day, it all falls onto you. If you listen to your family or friends, you cannot blame your family or friends if suddenly the investment goes bust, right? You can say, oh, it's all your fault, I don't want to friend you, oh, I'm angry with my mom. No, you can't, because at the end of the day, you decided to do it yourself. You gave the money to, or you put the money there to invest. So we have to take accountability and make sure we make the right choice. Yes. Thanks, Sharul.
So thank you very much. And apology for getting your points wrong earlier. So sorry for that.
No, it's okay. I know, because I spoke about the the shares. That's why I think got a bit confused. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. So I think it would be best for us to just proceed to the next questions, and then after that we can collect, we can proceed to the Q&A sessions afterwards. So the final discussion, a very simple question. I mean, if you were to return back, you know, when you were 20 years old, maybe in your 20s, what would you do differently? So maybe we can get Suraya first, if that's okay.
Sure, I can. I think that, I mean, there's a bunch of things. Like Darshini, I also made a bunch of mistakes. I've lost money a lot. I've lost money in gold, I've lost money in crypto, I've lost money in different things. I'm proud to have not lost money in property and in stocks and in interest, simply because I don't have them. But I think if I could turn back time, generally speaking, I'm quite happy with how I've done so far. But I wish I knew the difference between investing and trading sooner. That they kind of overlap with the terminologies. They are sometimes in financial literature kind of used interchangeably because they use the same like kind of financial instruments, but they're not the same thing. So if you see these terms around, macam sometimes people say investing, but what they're actually doing is trading, but you know, and vice versa. And basically, I just want to tell everyone here that the investing is holding it for the long term. So you put your money in today, you don't touch it for years even. Whereas trading is more like there's multiple types of trading. Some people like buy, sell a few times a day, a few times a week, a few times every few weeks, a few times a month, right? So it's very, very frequent. So there are people out there who think of stocks and then they heard, oh, you know, like blue chip stock, very good, and then they buy it, and then they would go into again like a lot of things, you know, they come up in social media, they come out in the news, you know, some CEO did something, they panic, they sell. So technically speaking, what they're doing is trading because they keep buying and selling. So that's what I see, and I've, you know, done that mistakes quite a few times. You know, I've panicked so more times that I could care to count. Eventually, I personally think it's a rite of passage that you eventually will come to a point where like the bad news no longer affect you, and you're just kind of like, yet another bad news, I'll just ride it out. You will kind of arrive to that moment in time where you're kind of like at peace with yourself. Of course, that also comes with experience and maturity, and also, you know, like skin in the game. But that's again like something that I will talk to you. I also want to point out something about like investing and trading. Studies have said that women make better investors, women make better traders. But what happens in the investing world or in the financial world especially is that many people who, like in Malay we say cakap kencang, where they like talk big, you know, what to buy, what to sell, giving you like buy, sell orders. A lot of men, you know, macam very, very kind of like hot-headed way of like talking, you know, always kind of like egging people, referencing cult leaders, Elon Musk and people like that. So I just want to let you know that there are some people, when they call themselves trading, they call themselves traders, but what they're actually doing is gambling, which is something else altogether. So I then try and identify, okay, what, again, like this comes with experience and all that, but there's investing for long term, there's trading, usually comes with a plan, you know, there's a whole, you have to study like really, really hard for it. There's a bunch of practice involved. And then there's investing. And sometimes you see these people who come in and like all newbies, it's like, oh, where can I get leverage 100 times this instrument? And I just go like, oh, okay, this is not going to be fun for you. So that's going to be my answer. Try identify what's the difference between investing and trading. If I could do it all over again, I would learn all this back again.
All right, thanks, Suraya. I think I share your same problem. Initially, I did not know the difference between the two. So but now I already know it. So thanks for the advice. So now maybe we can get Darshini to share what would you have done differently. This is probably the second time you heard about this question. Oh, you are muted, Darshini. You're muted.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. So, well, yeah, since it's the second time, I think those who did not watch the first round, I will run through again. It's similar, my answer is similar like the last round, I would say. Basically, for me, if we're talking about investing or overall, I'll just talk about overall, right? Overall, what would you do differently? For my personal life, overall, I would say nothing. Because if it wasn't for all the experiences that I had in the past few years, you know, when I first graduated, with the international business management degree, and then working in corporate for 6 years, you know, I would not have found my way to the financial services industry. So in 2018, actually, I started in insurance, being an insurance advisor and a unit trust and PRS consultant. And basically in 2019, I became an associate member of the Financial Planning Association of Malaysia. And just 3 weeks ago, I finished my certified financial planner certification. I saw Suraya is also currently taking a CFP. So yeah, good luck. I just finished my last module. Hopefully, yes, once I pass, then I will be a certified financial planner by this month, fingers crossed. So basically, yeah, if I didn't go through what I went through, I would not actually end up in this industry. I'll be very frank with you. So I'm very happy that I've gone through all my different experiences, which I've learned from. And coming from to that, what I've learned from is one thing for this time, one thing I would do differently in my 20s was basically learn about the investment before entering. As I mentioned, I made loss in stocks. So yeah, I should have learned more. So now that I'm more well-versed, like for mutual funds, because I'm doing it for a living, so I'm very well-versed. I'm making gains in mutual funds, in unit trusts, even in PRS. So most importantly, I will still reiterate is make sure you know what you're getting yourself into when you're going to invest or when you're investing. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Darshini. And then we can get Alan to share his views. And perhaps you have so many years of experience, so perhaps you would like to change what would you have done differently when you were younger in your 20s.
If I really have the time machine, back to the future, I will be the richest man in the world. I will buy out all the stock. I will buy public bank. I will buy Berhad Toto. I will buy all this company, right? So to me is, well, from my experience, is like, what I make my mistake is when I'm 20 plus years old, I don't know the value of money. Even though sometimes you say 5,000 is like a graduate. Last time maybe we made about 2,000 is a lot already. Our time. Huh? So last time, yeah, we have opportunity to make money, but we don't know the value of money. We don't know. We don't believe. People tell us like you need to save for future. We don't know what is future. We only know about now. We are not disciplined. I'm not disciplined. Most people are not disciplined about managing their money because maybe we don't have CAP like you to advise me during that time. Only my parents, right? We don't listen to parents anyway. We don't trust them. So if you give me a chance to go back to 20, I want to be more disciplined in my money management. I want to do budget because I never know what is budgeting. I only know how to expenses. So you give me chance, I will be more prudent in my spending. I must know how to have a earn, save, and invest, right? I just give you my example. I start smoking in secondary school. Secondary school, I'm smoker already. I'm stopped smoking from 45 years old, I think. I smoking about 20 years. So after I go into this financial industry, I know what is compounding interest. When I was small, when people ask me compounding interest, what is compounding interest? We don't know this only thing, right? So now I count back, all the every day 1 packet of cigarette and 1 month, how much actually I count back. Actually I count, but I use only 8% annualized return. I think by 40 I'm a millionaire already, by not smoking only. So I mean, it's kind of too late because I only stopped at 45 years old. But I said, if you give me back my time, I will stop smoking. It will add another 1 million to my coffer. I will be more prudent in my spending, and I think what did I miss out when I'm young is I don't have financial goal. If someone tell me there is a financial goal and a retirement goal, I think I heard about that. Yeah, but a lot of people know about it. Even now, the youngster also, a lot of news in everywhere. People advise you to have financial goal, this retirement goal. Yeah, you hope we heard about it, but we believe or not? If you give me a chance back to 20, I had to believe it. Nowadays, yeah, we can tell people, to tell them 20 years old, you must invest for your retirement. Are they really believe what you're saying? Sometimes we are just being stubborn. Actually, it's correct. Now I'm in retirement age already. If I believe the person that told me for 20 years old, I will go back and say thank you to him. But because I'm stubborn, I told you, we are young, we don't see the future. So if you give me a chance, I want to be more disciplined in my personal finance. I will really want to do a lot of budgeting, and of course, always save and invest. Of course, like just now, the speaker say, I will use all my time to earn more money, because we have a lot of times, but we just don't want to do more things only. Actually, we can, you say I went to South Korea. In South Korea, everyone need to do 3 jobs to survive, not to thrive, not just to survive with 3 jobs in South Korea. That's why you call the Gangnam style, right? Because I talk to them, spoke to them. She's a tour guide. She's a tuition teacher. She got a day job. I said, why you need to do that? I said, not only her. Everyone in South Korea, you need to have 3 jobs just to live on only. So if you give me a chance, like now, youngster, now it's more easier. You have online, all this, you can do extra things. You know? So you give me a chance. I want to use more my time to make more money and be more disciplined with my money management. Yeah, set my financial goal, and voila, buy asset, any asset. You tell me Bitcoin, as long as asset, I will buy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the advice. So hopefully all of our audience, especially the younger ones, okay, who are similar to my age, in their 20s, in their mid-20s, so hopefully we can really grasp the advices and then the tips that all the panelists have given for all of our discussion points just now. So now let's move on to the Q&A session. So the first question is about cryptocurrency. Okay, is cryptocurrency just a speculation, or is it actually a real asset? Because I think that's quite a debatable issue nowadays. People don't see cryptocurrency as an actual asset. So perhaps we can get Suraya on this, because. So what's your opinion on this?
Sure. See, with this kind of things, you will get conflicting views. One thing in investment, you will find people with conflicting views all over the place. There's people pro-crypto, anti-crypto, pro-property, anti-property, pro-whatever, anti-whatever. You'll always get that. For me, it doesn't matter if people think that people doing this debate, the very fact is that it does have value right now. So the very fact that it's being debated doesn't matter, because it is being traded and being able to be liquidated for real money makes it an actual asset. So that would be my justification for it. However, there are people out there who don't believe in value that exists in the digital sense. There are people who's like, if it's not tangible, if it's not a business, if it's not an item, if it's not a an asset or a property, if it's not something that I can hold, or if it's not something that I can see, then it doesn't exist. And they can, I guess, justify in that way. How I think you can kind of compare crypto with is something like, you know how Facebook in itself, with one user, it's nothing, but with millions and billions of users, it has value simply because something called the network effect. That's more or less the same thing. The value comes from the users. The users assign it value. And as more and more people believe that it has value, therefore it has value. And that's pretty much how you value anything in this world, you know, like this metal that that is shiny, is cost 233 ringgit per gram today, therefore it's 233 ringgit per gram today, but it's just, you know, it's just metal. So that's sometimes value can be arbitrary, but it doesn't mean that it it cannot be bought and sold at a certain amount in the free market.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much, Suraya, for the view on cryptocurrency. So perhaps Darshini or Alan has anything, any opinion on it before I move on to the next question?
I can add on a bit.
Okay.
Why only Bitcoin? Recently, Singapore had a digital art sold for $1 million US. And they have the digital address that sold for a few $1,000,000. So actually, you can create anything digital in the name of digital. You can sell digital pattern, digital asset, right? So of course, Bitcoin is an asset. There's one school of thought is say this Bitcoin is is trying to solve a problem that is not a problem. Why? Because Bitcoin want to replace the fiat currency, but that's why the blockchain is to do the Bitcoin calculation to solve because the problem the world facing the fiat problem, fiat currency problem. But I don't see there is our currency have problem anyway. But that's what first because as many people believe there is a value, right? So there is a function. So of course, I think investing is always is interesting subject, right? Something you buy before something last time, no one know that when your grandparent bought a piece of land so far deep inside the jungle, people laugh at him today. He's a multi-millionaire. Who will know? No one will know. So it's a name of asset that people believe that is whole value, right? Of course, if you think about want to buy any digital currency, Bitcoin is a like gold already, right? Recently, I think you heard about this Africa cryptocurrency called Africa. It's had overnight, it's lost 4 billion, right? Of course, we have to be aware of all these things. So always, if you want to buy this a highly volatile, highly value future asset, you don't need to put like all your money, 1 million to earn 10 million. Actually, you need to, maybe you can put 1,000 become 1 million. So you can allocate a bit because it might happen. We cannot say that it will never happen, that you invest in Bitcoin, you will not get rich. Nobody knows, right? Some people only buy 100 cents today. It's even 34,000, you saw a millionaire. The last time it almost 60 cents. So yeah, it's always the old school saying that you always need to allocate part in some way, right? Of course, to me, I'm an old school. Stock unit trust is still a major, but if I want to allocate in Bitcoin, I will allocate maybe a small part in my portfolio, because in this type of high value investing portfolio of like Bitcoin digital, actually you only need a small amount to make it big on it. So this is my advice to young investor.
All right. So thank you very much, Helen, for that. So I think I can move on because it's almost 9:30. I think we have a few more Q&A sessions, questions that we have. Okay, so the next question would be, assuming you in your early 20s and you have 200 extra per month, will you use that 200 for insurance or investment? And then if it's investment, what will you invest in?
Okay, I will go first.
Yeah.
All right. So you asked whether or use on insurance or investment.
Yeah.
Now, if you, I don't know if you heard of it, but if you have, there's this thing called the pyramid of financial planning. So if you look at this pyramid, it will show what are the necessities first, the basic necessities. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So those business students here, I think you know what I'm saying. For Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need to fulfill the lower needs, then you move up. So for the pyramid of financial planning, also similar. You fulfill the lower needs and then you go up, which is firstly is protection. So I would say, again, because I'm doing overall financial wealth planning, right? So I would say protection is the most important because, for example, medical or health insurance, right? If you do not protect yourself financially and suddenly you invest, like what Mr. Allen mentioned earlier, you invest and then suddenly halfway through 5 years, you were investing, then you come up with a huge medical bill, 100,000 ringgit, unforeseen, it happens. Then all your investment will actually go to that. Rather than imagine if you put 200 a month, which will be 2,400 a year in 5 years, how much would that be? About 12,500, like that, 12,000, right? So imagine you only paid 12,000 and your 100,000 bill is covered, compared to you invest and have 100,000 and use your investment to pay for that. So again, for me, I will always believe if you follow the pyramid of financial planning, you should get yourself protected first, because you are earning your income. If you are unable to continue earning your income, how are you going to have money to invest? So always protect yourself first before you look into investment. That would be my 2 cents.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Darshini.
Thank you.
So, so does Ellen or Suraya have anything to add on the questions?
Hi, I have something to add on.
Yes.
I would like one. I'll continue just really quickly. There's this one person who gave really good advice, and I just want to repeat it here. If you're Chinese, get life insurance because your funeral very expensive. And because of that, don't burden your family. No, this is not like a joke, It's like 5 figures, the funeral for Chinese. And I only understood this, the importance of this, when I asked around, and of course, being in social media. For Malays, it's not so bad. Paling pun like 1,000 plus, paling pun like 2,000, right? But like Chinese funerals are like, your lots are super expensive. So just at least don't do, in the event of an untimely, very sad, death, just don't let that be the setback, financial setback for your family. Itu je nak cakap.
Okay, so thanks, Suraya, for the advice. And Ellen, you wanted to say something just now?
Yeah, I think if you have only 200, assuming the person is working, right? I think if really 200, if company have take care your medical is benefit already, use your 200 to build out your emergency fund first. In case, even though you buy insurance in case you have like now the COVID-19, you can't even pay your insurance. The first thing you will let as quick as possible, use your 200 to build at least 3 months monthly expenses. Then you think about what you're going to do your 200, then maybe you can buy whatever you can. Work hardly, diligently, make sure you don't get fired from your company first. And at the same time, get your extra income, do some extra job. For 200 nowadays, I don't think you can't even pay a medical card insurance, not enough to pay for it. Stick with the company, get the company benefit, build out your reserve for minimum, actually by right must be 6 months. You target your goal for 3 months as soon as possible. Go through first. Okay, that is my advice to 200 ringgit.
All right. So thank you very much.